Bro, that intro was dope, man. Let's go, Hunter. That was wow.
Hey
Freaking
man,
wow. Oh man. Lovely. Welcome, everybody, to the Evolution of Truck Parking special episode brought to you by Lounge Media Group in partnership with Freight Ninja Studios. um, we are, we are going to have a good time today, folks. We're going to talk about a serious topic, but man, we're going to do it completely lounge-esque as usual, chilled, laid back, a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. And hey, you got some questions about truck parking? Bring them on, man. We got the specialist here with us, and we're going to do a big deep dive into this. Super excited about this, Mr. Hound.
same here, brother. Same here. Trying to let the
You want?
people know.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. That's why I kept saying we're going to dispel some myths and finally get out the facts and the truths of this, man, and show that this industry is not what people think that it is. It's not a cash grab to take money out of drivers' pockets and all this stuff like this. This is it's a true service, man, a true value, and especially if you're doing it right. Like our homies over here at Freight Ninja and our new friend Anthony, with Industrial Outdoor Ventures. So yeah, man, really, this is gonna be popping, dude.
Well,
You got
heck
any
yeah.
you got any commentary you want to add? Or you want to start bringing these guys up?
Let's bring them on up. We'll start with Anthony here.
Yeah, hey guys, Anthony DeLaurentis. I work acquisitions at Industrial Outdoor Ventures. I appreciate you having me on the show, and great video. That was sweet.
Heck yeah, man.
We
Appreciate
appreciate you
it.
doing it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for carving out some of your time for us today, man. So it's gonna be a good time having you hang out with us and get to talk to these lovely gentlemen. So I'll go next. Next we have the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind, the founder, CEO, Mr. John Morcellino with Freight Ninja.
What's up, guys? How are you? Happy to be
Doing
back
great.
on.
Calm as a
Um,
cucumber as ever.
Oh yeah, always. For those of you who don't know me, John Borsellino, CEO over at Freight Ninja. Happy to be back on and talk truck parking. Happy Anthony was able to join. Anthony's a now dear friend, but one of our clients as well, and excited to kind of jump into this. And thanks to you guys as well for having us on. We love what you do. We love supporting it. So keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, John. Thank you very much, man. Honors are all ours, man. Absolutely love this relationship we have as well, and just love everything that you guys do, man. And
You had to save the best for last, huh?
no, man, the worst for last. What are you talking about, dude? He's like, I mean, like, dude, what you don't know is we're about to have to we have another video. It's actually a disclaimer
Just
that
for
we
them?
made just for Chris. No, I'm
Like a
just kidding.
WWE entrance?
All right. So I thought Hunter was going to do it, but he's too busy over there laughing. Look at Chris over here in the background. All right, everybody.
He's ready.
So, Mr. Chris Lance here, COO of Freight Ninja.
Yes, save the best for last. That's right. Thanks for having us, guys. Awesome video. Look forward to the discussion today. Obviously, everyone on this call is very passionate about what we're talking about, and hopefully everyone gets some value add from this. That's the goal. Chris Lance, Freight Ninja. Let's rock and roll.
Heck yeah. All right, man. So before we get started with it, we're just going to let everyone kind of just say, well, actually, no, we'll just start with Anthony. We're just going to go because I know Anthony's got time. We got an hour till he's got to leave. So we're actually just going to go into it, and Anthony can talk about himself before we ask the first question. So let's get to that, Anthony. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, how you got into what you're doing here with Industrial Outdoor Ventures.
Yeah, sure. So I came into IOV straight out of college. The company was founded by a guy named Tom Barbera, and we've known each other for a long time. And in 2018, he was telling me about a company that he had just started, and it was called IOV, and they were focused on buying outdoor storage real estate, which I knew nothing about at the time. And it sounded real interesting to me, just being a super overlooked asset class. And at the time, it was a five person shop, and Tom was looking to bring on, a couple of people to grow the acquisitions team and really take this thing to a national level. And at that point, it was just really perfect timing for me. I was just about to graduate college and was able to join the team right away. So I've been here for just over 7 years. I work acquisitions, primarily central U.S. and Eastern markets. Now that we've started to regionalize, but when I first started, it was we had 10 assets, and over the last 6-7 years, we've been able to grow and buy over. We just closed on our 92nd asset yesterday. So yeah, it's grown quite a bit. iOS has changed a ton in terms of institutionalizing over that period of time, and it's been awesome to be a part of.
Dang. All right, man. Let's go. That's what's up, brother. Pretty fortunate to be one of the few people who found what you really did wanted to do straight out of college, man. So that's good. And especially in such a growing and emerging space is this, already was, but it's definitely becoming more now with with the whole transportation logistics, part of it getting into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really caught a lot of attention over the last few years. I mean, when I first started, it was like half the people had no idea what we were talking about. Like, you guys buy parking lots. Like, okay, like what does that mean? But now, it's much more recognized across the board. There's brokers in every market that know and specialize in the space, and yeah, it's just totally changed.
Well, yeah, 100%, man. Only thing I knew, I didn't even notice what it was called, was industrial outdoor storage. But even when I first heard about it, I thought about like RVs and boats. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, that's what they do. Oh, RV and boat storage. Okay, cool. I get it. Makes sense. So
definitely a part of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I mean, like you, I've just learned so much about it, man, just in the past few years doing the show. Even I didn't even realize the connection with truck parking, industrial outdoor storage. So you learn a lot. There's a lot of different offsets to this industry, to logistics, and this is a very big one. And so what we're going to do first is we got some questions lined up for you guys. Make sure that we hit all the correct points and get all the right information out to the audience here. So Anthony, we're going to start with you. First off, let's continue. What technically is industrial outdoor storage? What qualifies a site to be considered for that term?
So we break it down into 4 main categories. The first is a traditional, truck terminal, a cross dock that you see that, FedEx or YRC is occupying. The skinny terminals. You got maintenance shops, grade level service facilities with yard. The third is more, warehouse with yard. Those could technically be dock high and, or grade level. And then the last one is container and trailer yards, which is what you'd see a Freight Ninja operating out of. But the common theme with all of them is the building. If there is a building on site, it makes up less than a quarter of the overall yard area. So when you think of traditional industrial warehouse, it's a maxed out, most of the time it's a maxed out corner to corner building on a land site, and there's really no extra parking, where we're the opposite. We want a yard with an accessory building to go along with it, or a lot of cases there is no building and we're just leasing for truck parking or lay down yard. But these can be occupied by anyone in transportation, which is the most obvious one, but it's equipment rental companies, building materials, construction groups, utility contractors. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, when you hear it, you think, oh, it's just truck parking, but there's really a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Pedro, did you already hit those 2 other questions right there?
We're good, bro.
Okay, cool. All right. Yep. So, Anthony, on all of this, so obviously it's kind of a newer space that people are talking about. Like Pedro said, you hear iOS, you're thinking boats and, RVs, whatever it may be. So, for the trucker side, or like anybody that's looking to get into storage, what are some of the main benefits that you see people getting from industrial outside storage? The input versus yield on all of it.
Are you saying from like a an investor side or just like the occupants?
Both.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say from the investor side and kind of how we look at things. A lot of the assets the four food groups that I just named off that form the outdoor storage space in an iOS property. A lot of these are super versatile assets. So, like for example, you can buy a maintenance shop building that we bought from a trailer leasing company that we buy it vacant. They leave, and you backfill it with a roofing company or someone in a completely different industry, but the general property can serve a lot of different users, which is really what I find the most attractive. And at the same time, with the zoning, there's a very limited supply of zoned property around the country that can allow for this by right. So you kind of look at a few different things, but given it's historically been very overlooked, and there's not too many players in the space, it's growing over time, but in comparison to some of the other categories of commercial real estate, there's a lot of opportunity for some outsized returns, and it's just, again, a very limited supply of these types of properties that are available across the U.S.
So I mean, let me ask this, Anthony, complete offshot question here, but
Yeah.
what is the percentage of, I don't know, if, maybe not just for your company, but do you think for just in general for outdoor storage, what percentage of are people coming to you, Anthony, like just random people like me, everyday guys, like, man, you know what? I got $1 million just sitting around, not doing nothing. I can buy my yacht next year. Let me just find something to invest this $1 million in, or is it a majority of this thing, companies like you guys that just kind of already have the leverage, have the funds, the money, the plans, the connections, do this, and you're, buying it and put it up for yourself and, so forth and so on. Could you dig in that a little bit? Because I think that's, pretty interesting thing for people to know how many outsiders may be kind of getting into this.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, we've got our own fund, which is compiled of many different investors. That's all discretionary, so we manage and invest the money. But I will say, just if there's like guys like you talked about, high net worth individuals or people that come from an industry where they know there's value in these types of assets and they're local to a certain market and they're aware of something. I mean, yeah, we come across that all the time where there's local guys that we come across that happen to own 10, 15, 20 of these assets in the market that they've accumulated. And, they're not a big name company. They're just a one-off guy that recognizes it and has built a portfolio. So that exists out there. I mean, there's a select, I mean, there's a small amount of people that I'd say specialize it individually that are buying individually, but yeah, I mean, it does exist. And I always find that pretty interesting because you see these guys that bought stuff in early 2000s or even before that and still own it. And, they're just cash flowing like crazy.
Yeah, we've since Hunter and I have done this show and kind of learned what truck parking was, man. We've talked to a lot of people across the industry, just a lot of folks. We talked about a lot of them in our meeting yesterday, and a majority of them said exactly what you said, is like, most of this stuff is land that grandpa bought in 1960. It was just like, it's cheap, like maybe one day this will be something. And then it's all this industrial space or whatever just gets built up around it. Then it becomes extremely viable. It's like, man, like this would be a great place to put some type of terminal yard for chassis or just truck parking or, trailer storage, whatever it may be, so,
Exactly. Well, and I'd also add a lot of it too is like kind of like you mentioned, someone bought a property 20, 30 years ago for their own business, and now they're getting to the point where they want to retire, and the real estate itself is actually worth more than their business is. They decide to close up shop and sell the property and go retire that way. We see that all the time.
Yeah, we got one of those for asset next or assets. We got one of those near us, Sky. In our industrial park, there is one plot of land, I don't know, 20, 30 acres, whatever, but it's got cattle on it. And it has been that way forever. He is the last plot of land in our industrial park that has not sold out. And I tell my wife, I tell her all the time, I was like, dude, I bet that property value is just freaking ridiculous right now because everything surrounding him is nothing but like government contract buildings and all this high industry stuff. And I'm like, dude, when that guy finally does decide to call it quits with these 30 head of cattle he's got, he's going to be freaking loaded, man. So, yeah. But, all right. So, Anthony, you, a minute ago, we were talking about the properties bought back way back then, and so let's talk about like some trends and stuff, man. I know you've been in this 7 years, but I know that obviously you work with people that have been in it a lot longer. I'm sure you've done, tons of research and market data and stuff in this going way back. So, for a lot of people, this is a new thing as far as folks, hearing about just truck parking, but much less industrial outdoor storage. And I think like a lot of us, it kind of came to really be prevalent during the COVID times, man. So, from your side of the point, man, with the real estate, dealing with the real estate and finding land and all that stuff, what are the trends that you have seen with like demand, lease rates, financing rates, stuff like that? Take us back from when you started, which would pretty much be, a few years before COVID, and, bring us now. Tell us what we're looking at, Anthony.
Yeah, so like I was saying, I mean, when I first started, it was still very early and very under the radar. I mean, we'd go into markets, and honestly, a lot of the brokers didn't know what we were talking about or how it was supposed to be valued, and we'd have to really educate, what we would want them to lease it for after we bought it. I mean, there was really no data to point to. No one was tracking comps. So, it made it even harder to break into the industry. And a lot of times, 2018, 19, even into 20, like just with the lack of data, I mean, we'd be having to go to investment committee and get approval on deals with no comps to point to. And we'd typically be buying a site that, we'd be the only game in town, and we're essentially setting market rents. I mean, we wouldn't be going crazy, but, we'd find a reasonable rate that we felt worked, and we'd feel good about our basis in the asset. And, we'd set market, that way. I'd say once we got into COVID, things really started heating up. I mean, it was like values were going up like a hockey stick everywhere. We were pre-leasing stuff before we even closed on it. The term, one interesting thing was that the term essential businesses became a very important piece during that time, because no one could operate out of any facility unless you were an essential business, if everyone remembers that. And the beauty of iOS, really all of our tenants at the time were considered essential businesses. I mean, we had no property that the tenant was unable to use or had to ask for rent relief, where in a lot of other asset classes, that was a big deal and really impacted the investors. So, I mean, that part of it, was where things really started to skyrocket. I mean, we'd be under contract on something in Southern California and have 45 days of due diligence. And by the time we closed, we'd either have a tenant lined up, or we'd have a tenant lined up and the property would be worth 30% more by the time we closed. Like it was crazy. I'd say midway through 22, things started to cool off a little bit and settle down. I mean, some of the coastal markets like LA, Long Beach, Northern Jersey, where rents, were through the roof. I mean, $50,000, $60,000 an acre a month for outdoor storage. That things started to drop off a little bit. I'd say places like Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Atlanta, more inland markets, we've seen hold pretty strong and really continue to rise slowly. but it really did have a drop off in some of those high priced coastal markets.
So we're talking about these big areas that you see growing up, like Atlanta, the more inland markets. Like, what are some of the most desirable locations when sourcing iOS? Like ports, airports, distribution centers. Like what's the main thing that you look for in that?
So we try to stay very disciplined to true infill locations. Not that there's not opportunity in the path of growth markets, there is, but we are trying to stay hyper focused on being true infill, close proximity to the major metro area, intermodals, airports, the interstates. If there's a building on site, I was mentioning this earlier, the functionality is key in how versatile it is, how easily trucks or equipment can maneuver on the site, the clear heights, the condition of the surface, outside of just the location. These are the things that we have to think about when we're buying this stuff. And it's really different for building users too versus truck parking. Like a Freight Ninja will be looking at something where the building is less important, and they may be more focused on location plus what's the surface, security, access, lighting, what is out there, or is it just a dirt lot with a fence around it? I'd also say proximity to distribution centers has been a pretty big driver for us historically. A lot of these industrial submarkets are loaded with warehouse buildings that were designed to max out the site with no place to park excess trailers, and that's becoming a much bigger need today. And there's two good examples of that where we bought a 10-acre yard in Atlanta and a 20-acre yard in Denver. Both of them, they didn't have structures, and we bought them, and they had close proximity to distribution buildings. And in Atlanta, there's a company called Wesco, and Denver, there's a company called Border States. They both occupied big warehouse buildings, a couple 100,000 feet, and they needed large yards with close proximity to store big spools of cabling. And I'm pretty sure Freight Ninja, even though they're truck parking focused, they've actually had similar groups that need to lease yard space for the same thing. Yep. And we didn't buy the yards banking on these two companies needing to lease it, but that's just what ended up happening, and further validated that need for yard storage near these warehouses that just don't have enough parking.
Absolutely.
I never thought about the way you just said it, as far as these warehouses buying these plots of land and just buying it just so they can max out the building. That's what it is get the most interior space out of it. When I was a driver, there were a ton of times where you would go check into one building, and if you was a drop and hook, they're like, oh, our drop yard is across the street or it's around the block. And they would have to purchase more land so they could just be able to store trailers and deal with freight and things like that. And even in the industrial area up north of me, the big one in Temple, like there's folks there. They have since put in a bunch of trailer storage and parking over in that area because Walmart's there, HEB's there, McLean, PFG. I mean everybody, and they all have these massive sites and they're all growing out of it. And so there's word, I think Toyota's supposed to be coming here, putting in on through the rail line. So it is, folks are just buying the land, even up here now, seeing, wow, we didn't think about as we grew, where are we going to put all this extra stuff, all these trailers and all these trucks coming in. Like HEB, they have a lot just for you to park when you check in. Like when they built it, they didn't think about that. They used to have a gate, and you would come in and park inside the gate, and was the biggest DC in this part of Texas. And it's like, wow. They'd have trucks and trailers all up and down the road, and then they had to come and get someone in to concrete all the land in front of them just so the drivers would have somewhere to park. So it's funny, like just ironic, I'd say, hearing you say that, because I don't think you really people don't think about it. Why don't they have the land to park this? Well, dude, they weren't worried about you sitting here for 10 hours. You know what I mean? They were worried about how much stuff can we pump out this building, how many trailers can we touch to the building, not how many trailers can we park here and how many drivers can be sitting on our yard. So
exactly, yeah, that's exactly right.
And also, too, just to piggyback off of that a little bit, a lot of these warehouses that we've been talking about were actually they were maybe drop yards at some point, or just a piece of dirt where truck parking was being had. So when someone buys up that site and says, "Hey, we're going to build a warehouse here," guess what? We've just displaced now maybe between 100 to 300 trucks that now need to find a new home as well. So
a ton of that.
Exactly.
From 2015 to 2020, when big box was booming, a lot of sites where historically some of the sites I used to operate now there's no parking, and it's just a huge big box warehouse, and they put 500 trucks out onto the road with nowhere to park.
Creates a shortage.
And then come in and ticket all the trucks. You know what I mean? Or start hooking up tow things, and it's like, that's where it gets to a point where you have to, ask yourself, is this the driver's fault? Which it's not, but why should it be their responsibility when they're here to deliver, and this place doesn't have ample room for me to be there when I deliver their stuff? So how is it? Here's a great story. This actually just hit national news, and it came from Waco, which is just north of me. There were trucks. There's a new packaging place up there, and they are brand new. They're not used to how much flow they had coming in and out of this new facility because they doubled their size. And you have to weigh in and weigh out, and they only have one fucking scale. So that was smart. But there were trucks just lined, literally parked in the turning lane. So down this road, and there was one driver that he says he sat there for 13 hours, but there was others saying that they're there for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours just waiting. And now the police were cool. I'd read the after story, no, the people had called the cops, but the cops down there were cool. It's like, dude, what are they going to do? What are we going to do? Where are we going to make them go? You know what I'm saying? So boom, right there, they have this massive facility. It's a huge building with 50 trucks a day coming into this thing, and nowhere to put these 50 trucks. And it's blocking up everything, taking up the turning lane, and there's warehouse and businesses on both sides of this thing. So think about the danger that now presents to the regular motoring public, because we know half the four-wheelers ain't paying attention as it is already, but now you want them to squeeze between two semi-trucks to make a turn across a 4-lane divided road that's 45 miles an hour. So, it's a compounding problem, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to. It's not just there's trucks sitting in my way. It's like, dude, all the other things that kind of come into that and play into that and, trickle down from it.
Absolutely.
All right. Cool. I thought Chris was going to keep going. Chris, I'm holding that control. All right, man. All right. Let me get back to my questions here. Anthony, so I thought you were going to say this earlier. This is a question just kind of popped up here that we added. I thought you were going to get into it earlier, but the zoning stuff, man. Zoning. We talked about this meeting yesterday. Me, as I've gotten older, I'm a homeowner now. I pay attention to kind of zoning stuff. I don't go to the meetings, but I follow that stuff when it's posted on our city website, when it's posted in our news. I look at it to see what's going to be coming around. So you had kind of touched on it. What are those challenges, man? What do you can you run over the zoning laws and maybe tell us the hurdles that maybe it is to get stuff rezoned or find the properly zoned properties to help solve these issues?
Yeah, zoning is one of, if not the most important thing when we're looking at an iOS site. Every zoning ordinance in the city or towns is different. So the zoning codes and exactly what they allow, permitted by right varies, but typically it's the heaviest industrial zoning that allows for a wide range of iOS uses by right. That's what we need. The special use permit process or rezoning typically has been something that we stay away from. It's not something that everybody stays away from, but it's just getting harder and harder to get that type of thing approved, especially if you don't have a tenant that you can walk in and say, hey, here's the user. I need you to approve this. They don't want to give blanket special use permits for outdoor storage, just given the wide range that could be the occupant. And it's a risk. You don't want to bank on bank on them, whoever's in charge at the local municipality to feel good about who's going to be, using the site for either truck parking or heavy equipment storage, and what the neighbors may be thinking. So I can't really give a blanket answer on like the exact zoning codes to stay away from, but typically, like if it's lighter side of industrial, or it's a heavy commercial or a business park, something that would weed out things like truck terminal or contractor storage yard, heavy equipment maintenance, like that. If it's not allowing for those, we typically don't go after it.
So what's the, I mean, this might maybe an obvious answer, but then again, maybe not. What's the big deal about it? I mean, you as far as that specific zoning and getting that done, because you figure, commercial property, and I get it, you don't want a chemical plant right next to your house,
Right.
We're obviously not talking about that, but it's like to the city, I mean, we complain about ours all the time. It's like, dude, seriously, let someone build that there. And it's like, tax money's tax money is kind of the way that you think most of these city councils think, like who cares what's there? They're just still going to get the tax revenue, whether you build something, you don't build something, or just sits there and collects dust, So what's the hate, the pushback, the issue with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the image, right? I mean, this is, call it dirtier, heavier uses that people don't want to necessarily drive by and look at in their neighborhood. So there's a lot more standards and requirements that are coming into play, like screening, and they want this stuff paved just so it looks at least a little bit nicer. They also try to, you can be kind of forced into having to put up a structure versus just a pure lay down yard if you're doing any sort of substantial improvements. But the biggest thing, and what we try to, when we do run into some complications with the municipality, is kind of educating, like, everybody wants things delivered to them same day, next day, whether it's toothpaste, a TV, shoes, toys for their kids, whatever it is. But they don't want truck yards or places for all those trucks and vans that deliver it to them to go park when they're not in use. Like it's so important to support the local town and cities, and that's just like kind of something that we constantly are battling with. And the heavy zoning, I mean, they're not creating any more of it. You don't see town meetings where they're like, oh, hey, where can we incorporate some more heavy industrial zoned land? I mean, they want stuff that people are going to build nice looking buildings on it that they can enter their town and see that when they drive around. So yeah, I mean, it's ongoing. It's probably always going to be a struggle, but just trying to educate everyone how important these are. In each city.
And I would add too, Ant, like I've met with some cities where they're like, we want to see, traffic count because we got 80,000 pounds driving up and down our city roads that we need to maintain, right? So there's a cost to that as well. Not only is there a misconception that all these truck yards or outdoor storage facilities are junk yards, which we're trying to, get in front of a lot of these municipalities and explain to them that's not how we operate, right? But there also is a cost to maintain those city streets, and not only just people don't want to look at it. These trucks rip up the roads, you know what I mean? And
Right.
those tax dollars have to go towards repairing it, right? So, it's like Anthony said, the more cities we could get in front of and start educating and kind of turn the narrative, people are becoming more open to the idea of professionally managed truck parking and understanding, hey, those trucks are going to be on our roads regardless because they're delivering nearby, right? So, it's going to be a nice battle to get everyone educated, but we're making steps in the right direction.
Well, and John, too, to your point, even further, it's educating the municipalities is we're not those operators, and there's a lot of good operators out there that don't run junkyards,
Right.
that take pride in what they're doing. I know a handful of them outside of us. But that's the thing, is now we're professionalizing this to where it was more a mom and pop ran model, to where, you know, they didn't really care about the landscaping and the, you know, hey, I have repo cars that I'm going to put on there. We no longer allow repos on our site because it's A, bad for our image, B, it creates a lot of problems, and C, we're not trying to take the image on as being a junkyard. And so if your vehicle doesn't run, you're not parking it with us. And I'm sure a lot of other operators are under the same in the same position too, because of the bad kind of lens that we get put into when we allow those type of users on site. So
in our agreement, all your equipment needs to be in good working order in order to even park in one of our facilities.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we're the furthest thing from a junkyard. But, you know, unfortunately, that's what, you know, our industry got pegged as.
Right.
Yeah, you know, and I think that some of that is just, it came from the boom that kind of happened, right? With, I'm telling you, man, we see it with everything on this show. COVID turned this industry on its flipping head, man. And when it comes to this, I mean, by this I mean that there was such an influx of trucks during that period, and the truck parking problem really has been compounded, which I think is why the spotlight is on it now, because we had all these new entrants, you know, over the COVID time, everybody trying to make their dash for cash. But a lot of these folks, when they heard about truck parking, sorry to say, it was the guy whose grandpappy bought 50 acres 40 years ago, and he just went out there with his tractor and, you know, leveled it out a little bit, just some dirt road with a crappy opening, and, you know, now he's parking trucks there, and his neighbors next to him in their brand new custom $1 million homes, you know, have to look at all these trucks coming and parking and doing all this random stuff. So I feel that is definitely where a lot of these negative connotations have come, is because some people there, and to end the ending point with Anthony about the zoning, that guy didn't look zoning to him. He's just like, I own this property, I could do whatever the heck I want with it. You know what I mean? And until the city catches up with him or whatever, he's parking trucks on it, or, you know, letting his buddy, you know, who runs the record company, come and drop his repos off, or, you know, freaking Jim down the street who likes to rebuild cars, got 50 clunkers, you know. So that's obviously where a lot of this came from, you know.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you saw the video you guys played at the beginning, and going towards kind of the title of this whole thing, the evolution of truck parking. If I showed you our first site compared to the ones you just showed in that video, it is night and day. I mean, in such a short span as well. I mean, like from 2015 to now, it's like some of our lots are, especially ones IOV does, like they look nicer than mall parking lots, honestly.
Yeah.
And you know, Chris and I had a come to Jesus moment as well, where we're like, we're not going to be those guys. We want to set a certain standard. We're not taking on every project anymore. Like, there is a criteria now for us to put our name behind it.
That's what's up, bud. You know, that's the evolution of you, though, as a business owner, operator, and a branded stuff too, right? You know what I mean? And, you know, everybody starts somewhere. You know, Hunter and I talk about our dumpster fire. Like, and you go back, Slay Through Us is like, man, that was just a complete crap show. And then, you know, the coming to Gizmo, like, dude, all right, we got to set some standards here.
Buckle down.
I told Chris, I always said, if I park 1,000 trucks, I won't have to do this anymore. I'll just stop. I'll just park 1,000 trucks. I'll be good. We're at like 7,500 trucks parked across the country, and don't even see an end in sight anymore.
No. Actually, the road keeps getting longer.
Yeah.
The way Chris said that, it's the way he was like, yeah, I thought I'd be rid of this guy.
When I tried to talk him into coming to work with me, he's like, we're going to do what? I'm like, I know it sounds stupid, but I'm telling you, it's going to work. And he's been
that's a pretty good segue. So we'll go ahead and dive into y'all now. So how did you get into truck, trailer, and fleet parking? I know we've heard it, but for those that have not.
Yeah, right. I started in trucking, right? So a little opposite of Anthony here, who started in real estate. I kind of learned real estate in reverse from the trucking side, which, you know, I think plays to why we've had success as well. Because obviously in trucking, you know, it's very, very service based. And no offense, Ant, the real estate guys, they're not used to the phones ringing all hours of the night. And, at 5 o'clock, that phone goes off. Not Ant, but a majority of them. Right. And, I started in trucking, specifically in intermodal in 2014. Was growing pretty quickly here in Chicagoland and growing out of terminals in yard space. Saw the need. Had a lot of customers reaching out. Hey, can you safely secure our containers in your yard with high value cargo? Yes, we got to charge you for that, obviously, because these yards aren't free, right? And there was a point I believe half our yard was filled with either our customers' equipment or owner operators, smaller trucking companies that walked in off the street and asked if they could just park and I'll pay you. Like, yeah, go ahead. I got extra space, right? And half the yard was filled, and I was doing the math. I'm like, the lease is paid just based off half the yard being filled with other people's stuff, and my stuff's here for free. Can we monetize this in a way where, we could target sites just to run that business model? So, lease it per acre. Had no clue what I was doing on the real estate side, but kind of just dove in, started taking down, 10-acre sites, long-term leases, while, at the time, probably, I was leasing stuff for $1,500 an acre around here, and like that same acreage is going for like $10,000 an acre. So I was fortunate enough to get in early enough to where that model made sense, and then broke it down into layouts to maximize that market, and put a sign out front and would run my trucking company and sell parking on the side while my cell phone was ringing. And that's really how I stumbled into it. Saw that there was an opening because nobody really professionalized the management side of truck parking. It was always that guy you were talking about that has owned the land 50 years, and you call their phone, if he answers, there's probably a dog barking or a baby crying in the background, and he wants cash, and if you pay him cash, he's going to give you a discount. And as more guys like Anthony's company, IOB, started to recognize and it became more institutionalized, they didn't understand the undertaking of the operational piece of truck parking, and saw a need there, inserted myself, and fortunately enough, I've met great, I consider, partners on the real estate side, like IOB and a bunch of others. They gave me a chance, and I was able to prove it out for them, and I'm thankful they trusted in me. So, Chris, I talked into joining me now 2 years already.
Yeah, we're in year 3.
And I would come home from work. He left me, he moved to Florida, and we'd talk every night on the phone and about what I was thinking and what the plan was. And at first, I think he thought I was nuts, but as we could, I'd call him up every night and be like, hey, we just opened 3 more locations. Now we're at 10. Now we're at 15. Now we're at 20. And he's like, you don't have any employees, dude. It's just you. I'm like, yeah, I know. You're going to have to come home soon. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful for the people I've met, and guys like Anthony, who he knows he could call me at all hours of the night and pick my brain, and vice versa. As much as I've taught him about the trucking side of things, he's taught me about real estate, and it's been awesome, honestly.
I saw when you said that last part when Chris, like, what are you talking about? You have no employees, it's just you. I so heard that in Chris's voice in the exact way that I know he said it to you.
I'm like, well, I'm just using some of my trucking people half the time. That didn't last too long.
All right, Chris, what's this we stuff, man? What is this we thing you got going on over here?
Yeah.
All right, Chris. All right, you, my brother. So, I mean, John kind of said it, but what was the final thing that got him to push you to come on back, man, and jump on board and get your feet wet in the outdoor storage and truck parking game?
Honestly, our friendship. man, he had a vision. John's always been a go-getter, whatever he sets his mind to. He sticks to that, and I know that. So like he had said, we would always talk about this when we were younger. Him, his brothers, when we get older, we can all work together and, do our own thing. And this was that opportunity. So I took the leap of faith. I started working part-time after my full-time job down there. I was in the transportation industry for 18 years before this, doing household goods, moving and storage, the government side of things, moving the military all over the world. So it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights from 5 to 8. I'd hop on with the Freight Ninja team, kind of set up some operations and some SOPs because there was none at the time. John and I would talk every night on FaceTime. I think that's why he was part of the reason why I got divorced, actually. My wife was his ex-wife, extremely jealous. So then it was that time where it was growing rapidly. And he goes, "Are you ready?" And the rest is history. And here we are today with 57 locations nationwide and probably 15 plus different states, with more to come. So, that's where it started and where we're at now.
Man, that's awesome. I knew it had to be his friendship because it sure wasn't his looks that got you to come back. I know.
No. I left Florida to come back to Chicago.
He's like,
It's crazy. Like, everyone told us, like, you guys shouldn't do this, right? You're best friends. You should stay like that. Like, that couldn't be any further from our working relationship, like, from the truth. Like, we know when we're doing business and we know when we're best friends, right? It's not, I know if he's FaceTiming me, we're friends now. If he's calling me on my cell phone, this is work related. It's like, and, we balance each other well too, right? Because he's more of a realist. Chris cannot lie to you ever. He's going to tell you exactly how he feels at all times, and people respect that, right? And I'm more of a risk taker. I'm not a liar, but I'm more of a risk taker, and he wheels me back in sometimes, like, hey, slow the fuck down. And it really, we play off each other well.
Absolutely.
It's great, bro. You're the yin to your yang. You know what I'm saying? It's good, man.
Yep.
Have a good dynamic and stuff. So it's important, man. And it is sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes you have the right friends and people, man, that like you can do. And I think it's all more of sharing the dream and the vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if Chris was just like your employee, you know what I mean? An employee who is your friend, that's one thing, you know what I mean? It's different, but having that same vision and the dream and understanding together and wanting to get to the same place, I think is a big part of the dynamic that makes that work. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
Applause to you because a lot of folks can't pull it off. You know what I mean?
We align well on our goals, everything. We're both driven. Our integrity's there, right? Like, we're never gonna overpromise and underdeliver. That's the and most importantly, our big thing, we want to build a culture here with all of our employees, right? Like, it's our people, it's not us. People that we bring in here, that's the success of the company.
Yeah, except for that Neil guy, you got to watch out for him. He's a sneaky one.
Another guy I've known my whole life.
I love Neil, man. He is absolutely freaking amazing, man. Neil's a good guy. So, moving on. My question. I got a pop-up question for you guys, man. All right, so we just talked about how y'all got into the game here, man. What brought you into it? John's a driver up there in Chicagoland, saw the need for it, and he scammed Chris into coming back to Chicago by making him get divorced. No.
The end.
All right. So, all right. Well, we want to get into the skinny of it, man. All right, and talk about these properties that you guys have. You control, you manage by. Start from the top. What is it that you look for? In these properties, not just placement, but is it a certain size, price points? Chris, I was in a meeting with you yesterday with someone, actually kind of got to hear how you guys do stuff, and Anthony said comps, those things. So like, what goes into that process, man, for you guys to decide this is where we want to put a space at?
Go ahead, Chris, take the
So
expert on it more so than me.
Well, I learned from the best. So a lot of things you want to look at is obviously Google Earth is our best friend. Um, Google Earth Pro. You want to get on the site, get the address. Like you saw, Pedro, yesterday, we had a site in Atkins, Virginia, which is a very, very farm town. Not much going on there. So you want to kind of get a good overhead image. See what are you looking at? Is there other laydown yards in the market? Yes, no. You can go on the internet nowadays. One thing you got to be careful on the internet is a lot of these mom and pop shops aren't advertising on the internet. So you may have a sneaky market that no one's found yet. So Google Earth will kind of tell you that. You drop your little guy right on the street. You can look at signage, get phone numbers off there, start making phone calls. And then obviously, like Anthony said earlier, what does it buy? Distribution centers, airports, major rails, highways. So kind of the same thing, same way as Anthony looks at it, we look at it too in that same kind of structure. When we do, property management proposals or PMPs, when partners or outside vendors have sites that they, are interested in us possibly managing for them. So that's a big thing we look at is what's the demand there? Because what we don't want to do is have a partner invest all of this capital into a yard and then 6 months later calls and says, hey, why is no one parking here? And we say, sorry, it doesn't look like there's demand there. And now we've set someone up for failure, wasted capital on something that they could have invested somewhere else. I mean, we do, when John said we care about our partners, their cash is like our cash. We go out and get bids when we have to do certain projects for them because we are a full service operator. When it comes to, let's say the gate breaks or the fence breaks down, we get 3 bids and we build relationships with vendors to make sure that this site is getting the best service that it needs, honest pricing, and that you're reliable too. Reliability is a big thing. So when it comes to sourcing sites, it's demand. That's what's going to bring it, because you don't want to waste time. We have a sales team of 8 people here. I don't want them calling on a site in whatever market it's in that's not really propped up yet for this, because we're pulling away from other sites that do have demand, and we're just missing out on opportunities of the connection, which is a huge
cost associated to our guys' time if they're calling on a market that's no good. So, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I can contest that. I mean, you guys, just the sites that we've worked on with you, I mean, the upfront recon and diligence, and really before we even kick anything off, like it's impressive and really goes a long way. I mean, it shows really how much you guys dig into things and care and treat it like it's your own. I mean, we are partners, and that's the whole idea of it. And yeah, no, it's been great.
Yeah.
And honestly, like Ant said, there was no comps for this, right? So literally, I would drive around on Google Maps and look for parking lots and find phone numbers hanging on fences and call up and ask, what are you guys charging? We've gotten pretty good, and we got it down to a science to the point where we have comps now on most major markets.
And obviously, too, to add on to that, we built a lot of relationships doing this. Like John said, 7,500 parkers now with us nationwide. That's a pretty big number. We have a big footprint, and our sales team has done a great job at, getting those connections. So a lot of times our partners on the customer side, because they're partners with us as well, they'll call and say, hey, I need 50 spots. I just got a lane in KC doing the Ford plant or whatever. I need 50 spots. My yard's full in KC. We have a property player there who says, hey, Chris, I got a facility over here of 5 acres. I might be able to service your need. And if I have a wait list there in that market, now I'm starting with 50 plus a wait list that I can call and say, hey, we got a second location now because our first location had filled within less than a year. So obviously that's a good market for us. And we'll want to still, if we need more space in that market, we'll go out and get more because our customers need it. And that's kind of
transportation in us, right? It's servicing your customer. That's I think the biggest differentiator. Like Chris will come to my office, be like, hey, so-and-so needs 300 spots here. I know we don't have a location there. Can you see if you could help them? Not a lot of people are going to do that. Actually, I called Anthony, was it a couple of weeks ago when that UPS crash happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Louisville. I had one of our national groups, hey, that plane crashed and wiped out our whole yard. I need space in Louisville. I'm like, I don't have anything, but I knew Anthony did, right? So I'm like, hey, I want to help this guy out. You got 25 spots. I could bum off you, and I don't need to make money on it. I'm just trying to help this customer out because now every time he has a need, he knows I'm going to service it.
Yep.
So, staying on this, kind of site choice thing, I want to go a little deeper on it because, just trying to show this set apart, our kind of inside slogan with each other is, Freight Ninja truck parking done differently. Like that's always just been mine and Hunter's thing with you guys, so, what do you guys, is it only like just raw land, John? Like, is that where you're at now? Like, are you looking for, the paved stuff, gravel, like what are some other things that, pique your interest, just, after you get past the comp stage,
Yeah.
And even after you get past the comp stage, are there things that on that same note, you're like, dude, it's going to take 180 grand to freaking get this site paved and blah, blah, blah. And, so, what does that criteria look like for you guys as well?
I mean, most important things we, tell all our real estate clients. It's got to be stable. So if these guys are dropping trailers, these things can't be sinking. I've seen trailers nose deep all the way into the ground, right? So, concrete drop pads, if the ground's, we're finding out, right? I mean, there's no playbook for this. We're kind of just learn this thing on the fly, right? We had groups do it the right way too. Strip a field and, compact the clay, put a stone base, top it with asphalt grindings. It takes 3 good seasons for that to harden to really hold, a heavy load. So, stable grounds, number one, fenced, secured, gated, adequate lighting, right? You don't want these guys driving around, backing in, can't see shit. Like back in the day, that might have been a project I took on. Now, not so much. So, yeah, I mean, those are really the main things for us. We understand not every site is economically going to make sense to where you could pave the whole thing and make the whole site concrete. In a perfect world, that'd be great. But, my perfect spec, if I were to have to, develop these myself, would be, I would pave the aisleways because really that's where you get a lot of your potholes and stuff. Because as you guys know, when we back up and jackknife and it creates those divots in the aisles, right? That's you're maintaining and having to regrade your aisleways all the time. So if we could pave the aisleways, use millings, asphalt millings, or stone in the actual spot itself, because you're really never going to see potholes in the actual stall itself. And it helps with plowing as well in the winter times. And if you have a designated space for trailers, a nice concrete drop pad. I think that's the most economical way to develop these sites. If I had my choice and it were my budget. So some guys want to pave the whole thing, right? So, at the end of the day, we're selling a safe, secure storage facility. So that fence around it, access control gate, lights, and stable ground.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah. No, I get you, man. I understand. Like I said, it all goes back, man, to, showing how like this industry is, there are professionals in y'all's part of it, just like there's freight brokers kind of thing. Those aren't professional people. They're all blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, there's the bad ones are the ones that get the good stuff, but they're actually professionals in this industry, man, that know what they're doing, care what they're doing, want to do it the right way, treat people the right way, and hey, if we're fortunate, put a nice little penny in our pocket at the end of the week. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, now let's get to some real nuts and bolts here. All right.
Yeah.
If we could, I would love to, well, I'll let y'all answer it however you want, and then I'll put in the private chat what I would like for to get into. But pricing structure. So let's talk about that. How does how does that go down? You know what I mean? With y'all, and talk about it from whatever perspective you can. I don't know. Y'all may have NDAs. Maybe you can't talk about your customer pricing structure or whatever. But if you can, talk about the customer and the drivers. You know, how does this work and stuff, and you know, maybe explain why in some areas it's more expensive than it is in others as well, if that's part of it.
Yeah. So pricing structure, it is no secret. The pricing is the pricing in the markets. We've seen a lot of operators come into this space and try to bring a beautiful site to the market. Let's talk Memphis, for example. Concrete, well lit, secured, bathroom, showers, creme de la creme. But in order to do that, you have to charge $300-400 a stall. But the Memphis market calls for between $150 and $200. So that the pricing is the pricing of that market, especially if it's an established market, meaning that you're not going to outprice the market. And I think people learn that quickly. If you're not, these guys, the customers, they are the blue collar, especially the ones that we have a heavy relationship with, is the 10 units and less, small businesses. Okay. They have to watch their expense, especially when it comes to parking. Parking doesn't really generate revenue unless they're getting paid for storage of some sort. But a lot of these guys aren't getting. They're just using it to park their vehicle because they can't park it in their neighborhood. So they want to get the biggest bang for their buck. What do they need? Stable ground, security, well lit, you know, with a professional touch to it. Whether it's asphalt grindings or concrete. If you're charging $400 to be on concrete in that market, we should, and it's a $200 market, you're probably not going to be successful because these guys are okay paying $200 because that's within their budget, right? So that's where you can't create a market. And we tell a lot of these property owners this, well, I think I can get $400 in this market. Well, it's a $200 market. So it's not going to, what you want is different than what you can get. So we heavily, you know, make sure that they're aware of that. So they're not getting into something and then again, looking at us saying, what did you do here? Well, what we did is we gave you all the information that we pulled from the site to educate you and told you on our PMA, you know, the value points that we could reach based on the current economics of that market. So that it's very simple, and you're not. And what we saw later on was when truck parking became a thing. Now let's flip from the pricing to the customers to now people trying to get lease land for truck parking.
Anthony's world.
Yeah, Anthony's world, the realtors, the real estate space, is they were coming to us saying, I could lease you this site for $5,000 an acre for truck parking. It's like, okay, well, simple math here, 30 trucks per acre. The market is 200. That's 6,000 an acre gross revenue that I could do on a site. If I'm not happy with those margins, I'm walking away. But I also know that the acreage was inflated because you're trying to sell me as it's a truck parking facility that's already being operated, in which it's not. So I'm bringing overhead into this site. So I need more than $1,000 an acre to operate this site with, you know, toilets, security, whatever the case may be on a per month basis. So that's where we look at it on the real estate side to say, this doesn't make sense because we're going to have to demand 400 in a market that calls for 2. We're setting ourselves up for failure right off the rip. We're going to have to pass on this property.
Yeah, I've had brokers tell me, like, well, you could put 30 spots on this 1 acre at 300, so you can pay this much. I'm like, whoa, time out. Where'd you get that information from? Right? Like, I've had guys leave me for $5. Right? Like, if you think I'm going to fill this whole spot at the highest rate possible, you're out of your mind. And, you know, that's, I think, where a lot of real estate groups tripped up because they looked at it like, all right, well, we're going to get 300 a spot, this many spots, and forgot that they don't operate as well and that there's cost and overhead that go into that. And that's actually how I got my first managed location ever, is because a group did just that, and they're like, "Do you believe these guys call me at 2 a.m?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do believe that, because I've been in trucking. They don't give a shit. They want to park and go home. Like, they don't care to wake you, your kids, everyone." My wife, will you stop answering the phone at 3 a.m? I'm like, "Listen, I just sold a spot for $200 at 3 a.m. So
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, hey guys, I gotta jump off here, but I really appreciate you inviting me on. I mean, it's been fun. I mean, I love talking iOS, truck parking, Freight Ninja. We've done a lot with you guys. Hopefully we're gonna do a lot more. And it's just like you guys are all talking about, it's about friendship and working with good people and trust. And that's what it's all about. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of the show. But yeah, it's been fun.
Be great, Anthony.
Thanks for coming on, Anthony. Be good, brother.
All right, talk to you guys.
That dude.
The kid's the best. Nicest kid in the world.
I can't believe he's as young as he is. I thought he was like our age.
Mark kid, man.
I thought he was like our age. He's like Hunter's age.
I've learned a lot from him.
Yep. But yeah, did that help your pricing? How it's kind of figured on both sides?
Yeah, broski. Yeah, we're good. We're copacetic over here, man.
Oh, yeah.
All to the thing, yeah.
So let's get into some fun stuff here. So just going to kind of fire off some of these questions here. So we've talked about zoning and all this, but on y'all's side, what are some of the regulations or policies that create good old headaches and challenges for your operations?
John, I'll let you touch on that.
So the challenges operationally?
Yeah, so some regulations and policies that create, challenges and headaches, just make it a little bit tougher for your operations. And
sorry, your thing cut out for a second. I missed the first.
Pedro, take it, or Chris.
All right, yeah, sorry, you're lagging just a little bit. 100 is just a. Damn, it's so.
I could just make something up, and
dude, he's been fine this whole show. That so sucks. So, what he was saying is, earlier we had touched on like the zoning and stuff, and how that plays into, y'all's business, whatever. But like what are some other things, man? Maybe some local policies or state policies, federal policies, or just some things that are consistent that cause issues for you guys operationally that you're just always having to overcome and are just a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I mean, now we're starting to see, because of the zoning issues and kind of how this has evolved, and we're not that mom and pop operator anymore, and we're more at a national scale and very visible, right? So now we're getting some municipalities coming to us, like the state of Illinois. Hey, we want you to pay a parking tax now. We want you to pay a county parking tax, a state parking tax, city of Chicago parking tax. They saw an opening here to now say, hey, you're making money, we want our cut, right? So a lot of groups are doing this, flying under the radar, where you don't know if you could drive by it 100 times, you would have no clue that they are a truck parking facility or a trucking company or whatever. But we're bigger and branded, and now it's like, hey, we want our 9%, we want our 20%, we want this percent. And what does that do to the price of parking? It's got to go up, right? And that only affects the whole supply chain in general, because now if we raise their parking rate, they got to raise their trucking rate, which it's a domino effect, right? So that's a newer thing that now these states and cities and counties are starting to address, and unfortunately it all kind of rolls downhill, right? So in order for us to keep providing that service, and that we can't do it at a loss. So yeah, that's probably the newest and probably the biggest hurdle I think we'll see probably over the next 5 years. But I've actually helped some of these counties write their code, because they don't really understand what we're doing either, right? So it's like, I'm reading their code, and it's like, well, you're saying this is motorized vehicle parking. trailer doesn't have a motor? So if it's just a trailer, do I owe tax on it? And they're like, good question. I don't know. I'm like, all right, so how do I file my tax if you don't know how to tax me? Right. So, that's one thing. Unfortunately with the zoning laws, a lot of your, cities that do approve this, some of these neighborhoods could get pretty rough, and now you have security issues, right? So, where you have multi-million-dollar homes, they're not going to approve truck parking. A lot of the, areas on the south side of Chicago, it's business to them, and they'll approve it, right? So now you've got, areas, where you've got low income and, poverty and crime, and unfortunately, that's a lot of where these locations are going to get approved. So, now we're having to move towards, electric fencing and, and it's all cost, right? So we want to provide our service of safe, secure parking. At the same time, we want to do it at an affordable price that's not going to hurt the trucker, because at the end of the day, everyone on this call comes from transportation. We understand how cutthroat it is, right? We don't want to add another cost, right? We want to provide a safe, secure service for your asset that helps you produce your living. And, it makes it hard when you got that kind of crime going on.
Yep.
So
Parking tax.
What'd you say?
That's crazy. I said parking tax. That's the first time I've ever heard about that. And
Yeah.
Welcome to Illinois.
Everybody's blaming the provider, but nobody's.
No, let's talk to the state about it too.
And it makes it hard for us too, because it's like the mom and pop guy's not paying it. So now
What if I put up a hot dog stand in one of your lots and say this is just a big old hot dog stand? My main customers are truck drivers.
All of these are my delivery trucks. They're all delivering to me. This is all.
You don't understand how many dogs we're pushing out a day.
No, but like John said, and you guys can relate to this, because if you have an asset-based company, there's companies that fly under the radar and don't do their inspections. They don't have insurance. They don't care that they're driving an 80,000-pound death trap down the road. So without those expenses, guess what I do? A real company bids at $2.25 a mile, and that company comes in and says I can do it for $1.75 a mile. Now we've cut out the real operators, and we're feeding the hazards that are on the road. So same thing. The mom and pop operators, they don't pay the tax, so they can charge less rates. Cool. But at the end of the day, it's going to catch up, just like it is in the logistics and the transportation world right now, where those people that aren't operating as they should will get caught and shut down. And, the guys that follow the rules will end up, keep doing good business.
So how are they doing this? Is it just like popping up a bunch of different LLCs, or are they just taking cash? There's
no promoting of anything. They don't have websites, so they're just kind of they're moving in the night.
The cats that you see that have the little signs next to the stop signs, like
exactly.
This number, yeah, okay.
And then like California, for example, so municipalities are starting to get more creative with this. So we were working on a site. We manage a site in California, the only approved truck parking facility in the city of Ontario. What is it? Ontario Ranch. I guess it's different than Ontario. But the city actually drove a drone over the landscape of that city and spotted all of the clusters of trailers and trucks, and came up with 2,205 illegally parked vehicles that they're now going after to shut them down. A, because they're not operating as a business in truck parking, and B, 90% of them are on non-truck routes, and they're hiding under this agricultural hauling per se of, I guess if you're hauling agriculture in that area, you're good. So they just say, I'm hauling agriculture. Like, oh, okay, go ahead. But now they know they're on to that now. So municipalities are starting to tighten up on that with Google Earth, the same tools that we use too. It's not hard to spot these guys. It's just what municipality is going to do the legwork and who's not, because it's easier to find us than them. So they're going to go after the low-hanging fruit, obviously.
Right, but we've now taken the approach where it's like, let's work with these municipalities, not like to narc on these guys, but hey, we understand what you think we are, right? A junkyard, but there is a lot of land in your municipality that the highest and best use is truck parking. And right now, yeah, it is a junkyard and it looks like a junkyard. So let us work with you to beautify it and run it in a professionally managed manner.
Dude,
right?
you should totally see if California will like build you one of those buildings that hide your truck parking like they have that hide the oil derricks and stuff in downtown LA. Do you know about that stuff?
What is it?
There's literally buildings in downtown LA that are fake buildings. They were built just to beautify something ugly. Like there's oil derricks down there, power plants, all this crazy stuff, and they're in buildings. Some of them have windows, some of them don't, but they literally just built these things to hide ugly sites. So maybe that's your thing. Maybe you could get them to build you some
that's
type
the thing,
of
though. Our
crazy building.
sites aren't ugly.
Bargain.
They're really not. Play that video again. These aren't ugly sites. They're like, I get calls all the time now, guys. Hey, I just drove past. I saw one of your locations. It's beautiful. Thanks. We're not that group. So like when I get in front of some of these villages, I bring a brochure that shows, hey, look, this is what we're doing, right? Like I've worked with the city of Addison. They had a 2-acre piece. It would never be able to be developed, right? Because it was an old battery factory. It's too contaminated. It's environmentally tarped and capped, and it's sitting there doing nothing. I'm like, hey, let's concrete this whole thing. Let's, make it pretty. We'll put up nice meshing, and boom, we got, 60 spots. We actually just did a deal there with a bus company for the village, for the county school district. So I'm like, it's not just trucks too, right? So, and now they understand that it's like, all right, well, hey, they're coming. We have this other site. It's a junkyard down the street. Could we do the same thing there? Yeah, if the economics make sense, we could do it. Yeah. So, another site, they're like, we want you to put a building up. I'm like, the site's 140 feet wide by 1,200 long. What kind of functioning building am I going to put on a site like that? You know what I mean? So,
hot dog cart. Hunter just said this, dude. What we shouldn't be having this conversation again.
So, if you could get in front of the right people and again, educate them on what we're doing, and we're not a junkyard, we're a professionally managed truck parking facility or trailer storage facility. Usually if you get in front of the right people, they understand it then, right? And I think that's kind of just what it takes. Trying to get out and educate people and get in front of people and show them the difference we're trying to make.
Yeah. Yep.
$200 for a dog, free parking for a month.
There you go, bro.
Wow, dogs.
I like that.
Dude, that'd be such a good one. $200 hot dog and parking for oh man, that's a mess. That's right there, man.
I've seen some people that have like food trucks on site and stuff we've seen some pretty crazy stuff though for amenities. It's just, I think the difference is like there is like kind of a misconception of like everyone sees that stat like one spot for every 11 trucks. And that's more so for like the nightly over the road driver, right? We're more so, majority of our business is small trucking companies that this is their home, this is their terminal. You know what I mean?
Their community.
We consolidate them all onto one location. We build a little community. They know the guy next to them. It's like your neighbor, right? It's like, who's supposed to be there. You self-police, and it's we've found success in that. More so than guys you don't know coming in and out. You don't know if they're supposed to be there, not supposed to be there. We've had guys stop crime on our sites that park there. Like, hey, we know you're not supposed to be here. That's not your trailer, right? And what did we do for that guy? We said
$500 Visa gift card.
$500 gift card.
Yep.
We appreciate what you did. So
It cost
$200
because
hot dog. There you go, buddy.
saved the customer a lot more than losing that entire lane because the trailer got stolen. And actually, when we told the customer whose trailer was going to get stolen, he actually said, "I'm going to pay the $500." We said, "We got it. It helped the cause." He goes, "I got it." So he was very appreciative of that too, which was cool. So everyone buys in when you build something great. You know, there are some rotten apples, unfortunately, that get through, but that's in anything, and we need to seek those out, and we will remove them from the yard.
You know, which is something you really want to see. You know, is you know, people policing themselves in just all aspects. You know what I mean? Just humanity policing humanity, watching out for your neighbor, you know, whether it's your truck parking neighbor or your neighbor, right? But especially when we're talking about, you know, $250,000 worth of equipment plus, you know what I mean? I mean, even a used truck and used trailer, you're still around $100,000 in valuation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, depending on what you got, man, you know, you're talking serious money, just aside from that cargo that it's in that trailer, you know,
who knows what's in there.
And you know, you're talking about these municipalities. One bit of the irony with these places these municipalities is here, all of them are making laws about illegalizing truck parking and towing drivers and giving them these ridiculous fines. But, you know, I mean, and not me trying to be political, but isn't that typical government? You know what I mean? Punishing you, but not giving you a solution to not be punished again. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, okay, so if I can't park here, well, where am I going to park then? That you're not going to ticket me. You know what I'm saying?
Not their problem.
And also, you know, it's also a danger. Let's be real, dude. When
100%.
I drove only for big companies, and when they let me bring my truck home, like, it had to be somewhere that was safe, even if it was empty, and like somewhere I had eyes on it and stuff. But you know, it's just parking your truck randomly anywhere, man. It's a threat. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Someone could break in your truck. May not be worried about cargo. They're like, man, this driver may have a laptop in there that he uses, or a TV, You know, we all know what drivers keep in there. Huh?
CPC units were on fire.
Oh, dude, I know, because those things are like $7 or $10 grand.
Get them, yeah.
I know, bro. That's dude, crazy.
This is the worst cargo theft I've seen in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I was never worried about, you know, guys that parked with us getting broken in. That was never a thing. Now it's like we hit a span there where we're like, we need to electrify every fence we have. We had one site where we had man security, we had AI monitored security, and they were still trying to break in. Like, they were timing up the security guards and just running in, breaking in, ripping the unit out and gone. And it's unfortunate, but like,
these were professionals too. These weren't punk kids. They ripped 7 CPCs out of 7 units in 2 minutes in Chicago. We watched them on camera once it got reported. Stopped dead on a busy street too at 2 o'clock in the morning. So there's no fear. So it makes it harder to do our job.
I mean, like, even if that seal's broken and compromised, like,
done.
The whole load's at jeopardy of getting rejected now. Like, that's our number one priority. Is we need to make sure that, you know, these guys, when they park with us, they can sleep at night knowing that their stuff's safe.
Yeah. And that goes into the question about operational challenges. Stopping theft is one of them. I'd say number 2, snow. Snow sucks. Plowing is a crazy expense that you have to try to cover without getting wild, going back to pricing again. I would say we just got hit this last weekend into the Chicagoland, the Midwest, I should say, because it hit Indy, Columbus, all of that stuff. So that I would say snow and security are my 2 biggest operational challenges that keep me up at night.
John, what about you, broski?
What keeps me up at night?
Yeah, man. What's some of the biggest things, man, that, like, you know, keeps you up, man, keeps you wondering, not, you know, besides expanding, John, besides you know, taking over the truck parking world and, you know, having your Leonardo DiCaprio moment on the front of your Bentley, you know, you're like, I'm
not much of a sleeper anyways, so you guys, Chris, I'll be shooting him emails at like 3 a.m. and they'll be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I got a lot of shit on my mind I'm trying to solve. Chris has taken a lot of those operational challenges off my shoulders, unfortunately. Um, honestly, like I've always had this thing about me where I'll go above and beyond for my clients, like kid like Anthony, both on the real estate and on the trucking side. Operationally, and Chris is trying to coach me at this, like, listen, you're not going to be able to solve everyone's problems, which I'm always going to try to do. And, it's been a part of why people trust me and how I've gotten to this point. But at the same time, as we continue to grow, I'll spend the whole day trying to solve your problem. And unfortunately, I can't solve it. Like that UPS incident that I was telling you about, it kept me up at night that I wasn't able to help that guy. Right. Like, and, that's more so something about, we always feel like we could be doing something better, right? Servicing our customers better, running the business better, making sure everyone that's a part of our team has a path to grow with the company and they can do better, right? Like, I'm very much not about just me. I want everyone else around me to get to a certain level as well. So, as the leader of this company, I hope that, I grew up played football, played every sport, right? So like, I like to relate everything to that. And it's first guy at practice, right? First guy in the gym, last guy to lead by example. And that translated over well into business. I'm still the first person here, last one to leave. And I hope that rubs off on, some of these younger guys that we're trying to groom. So.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lost here.
We're good.
Well, quick.
I'm totally on it. Totally on it. Hunter's over there working. He's got stuff going on in the background. It's all good. All right. So, what I wanted to kind of push back to just a little bit, and then and we'll move forward, is, you were talking about these thefts and stuff, man. You know what I mean, John, and how like it's the worst you've ever seen it. And I'm sure with the time you've been in this dealing with the truck parking, like you have seen the rise in it, across everywhere. So, and you had talked about some security and things. So what are, the type of technologies and things that you guys have on your sites, man, that, even though you can't 100% prevent anything, we all know that there is never 100% prevention or, stopping it, but, to help prevent these things and try to help your customers' assets and their freight and their customers, feel safe about, parking with you guys and doing business with you. Yeah.
I mean, we've seen some unbelievable technology come to market, to help with this. I'll let Chris kind of expand on that. He's been heading up a lot of those. But, with AI becoming a thing, like that's going to be becoming more relevant in our space. And, these electric fencing, Chris, there was a push to get that approved in the city of Chicago, which it was banned for a long time. So, Chris, if you want to hit that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Technology is big, guys. When we go back to costs and expense and making sure we keep things down so our customer base can afford these things, we've unfortunately had to replace manned sites, a lot of them, with AI monitored technologies through LVT or SharpView. We've had great success with them. Especially in what we do, we talked about earlier, these are plots of dirt at some point, right? You may not have electric connections ran to site. So a lot of things that we rely on is solar. Also, these we got to get above 24 feet. So a lot of these sites have no structure on site. So these technology LVTs, for example, goes 24 feet in the air, gives us a good bird's eye view of a good vision of site. I can read a license plate 150 yards away, clear as day. So that's been a great tool for us to use. Not only that, they're monitored by live people. We're starting to get into that. And we work very closely. Well, I have a standing meeting with one of our vendors every week at Friday at 9 o'clock to go over what did we learn from this last week? How can we get better? What's our security team doing? Because they're not on site, but they are in an office monitoring our site, which from a bird's eye view, which is even better. we've had pictures of guys, that our customers would send us. We're paying, $14,000-$15,000 a month just for nighttime security. That's when a lot of your problems come up, is during the nights between, from dusk till dawn, pretty much. So just for nighttime security, 8 hours a night, Monday through Sunday, I mean, that's $15,000 right there. To where I can get a camera solution on site for a quarter of that or less. And to be honest, they're catching more than our man security is, because we were getting pictures from customers. Hey, here's your security guard that you're paying $15,000 for. He's drooling at himself in his car, sleeping, and loads are getting banged on the backside of it. So, that was extremely frustrating. So we needed to act. So we partnered up with a couple good vendors that have done us great so far. I mean, I love it. These cameras look like there's 10 squad cars in your yards at all times. They see motion. They're lighting you up with a spotlight, as bright as the sun. They're talking to you through that security mechanism. And eventually, if you don't listen, they have full authority to call the police to site. So that's been a great tool of ours. John mentioned the electric fence. We, especially in Chicago, Memphis, we still got to find a solution, because they're not even scared of electric fences down there. That's a different animal. But in Chicago, electric fences, we use Amrock. They've been a huge customer or a vendor of ours. We were getting hit daily in some of our yards in Chicago. As soon as we put those electric fences up and armed those bad boys, stopped immediately. So that was a huge success story for us. And they're pretty affordable too. But there's sites that, we've had them on where we didn't need them. So now we got to make sure when we build this, we are getting a crime beat of that market. Because again, how can we keep our expense down? So having the electric fence on site when it may not be needed, like for example, in Gastonia, North Carolina, I don't need an electric fence there. I knock on wood, I have zero issues there. So let's keep expense down for the customers and keep that off site. But we do have a monitored AI camera in there as a security measure. That is what's needed for that market. So you don't want to over secure a market, and you also don't want to under secure a market. So it's a game, right?
We found a balance for kind of
exactly.
level of threat of crime. So, but
right.
With our partnership with Laz too, I mean, we're working on a ton of stuff daily with tapping into some of their technology with online booking apps, and that I'm very, very excited about that.
Oh yeah.
Because that's going to be really take this thing to the next level when, we have the automation where guys could book without having to speak to someone live, which at the end of the day, some guys will utilize it, but, I like that personal touch, especially in transportation. I feel like it's still one of the only industries where people still care about the relationships and want to speak with you if they need something, right? So, there'll be a good balance there. I mean, we even now have a 24/7 customer care center after hours here in the States that, is answering after hours calls. That was another big thing for me, is like, we want those people stateside answering calls, solving these problems, and escalated to the right departments if need be. So,
how frustrated, John, did you get when a wire didn't come through and you were dealing with your bank and it was someone from a different country that couldn't understand your banking questions?
Yeah, couldn't find my.
We're not going to pass that on to our customers.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, you're employing Americans, man. You know what I'm saying? So, but B, it's just understanding that stuff. Even an American who isn't a truck driver understands what a truck driver is, what they're going through as an American, and as an American truck driver, and also, I mean, I don't know if they end up having to look at a Google map or whatever it is, they're going to understand the layout of that site and the things there, and all the stuff that, that's going to need to be known by or a driver's going to need to and answer for. So, man, applause to you for that, dude. And, I love that, you guys have got the attention to detail about, refining each site as far as, how far you have to take, technology and security measures. You know what I'm saying? it's just like any other business, you know what I mean? When you build, just because you got a big fancy building here in this one location and the market does great there, doesn't mean that you're going to need that exact layout somewhere else, because it may be too much, or vice versa. Maybe you do. Maybe you need double what you're offering there. And Chris, to just say about your Memphis problem, so. Bro, you're dealing with them Southern folks down there, all right? You're dealing with them Southern folks, man. All right, hey, electric fences are common down here, bro, for cattle and horses. They're common. So listen, you're on the right track. You just need to up that voltage, partner. You know what I mean?
I'm doing no spikes next.
That's all you need to do, man. So turn that voltage up on that sucker.
Yeah.
We find crowbars hanging from the electric wires just from people testing to see if they're
didn't
down
go
or
well.
not. Like that probably didn't go so well for them.
I know. I was about to say that's why it's still there.
Yeah. There's a puddle of yellow in the snow right next to it.
Oh man.
We should put together a blooper video, Chris, of things.
I've been thinking about that.
The real life of truck parking and
sometimes the driver gets shocked on accident because they'll go to hit the keypad and someone will like bang it or something. So the electric fence wire will be activating the keypad. So when he goes to push a button, it zaps him, and you see him on the camera freak out, and then he'll call and go, "Yo, what's going on over here?" I'm like, oh, sorry.
What about that driver that got fired that just started pinballing off all the trucks in the yard?
That was crazy. I posted that video on LinkedIn and blurred out the customer's trailer name because they're a large customer. But that was another self-policing moment where someone took a video and said, "Hey guys, literally, driver got fired on site," which is a big no-no. And everyone should know that in the logistics world. You never fire a driver when he's in or near your equipment because things can go this way. So we see the tractor and trailer pulling forward about 40 yards, and then he stops and he puts it in reverse and just smashes into his company's equipment and does that 2 more times before he hits the road and gets caught. Luckily, customer called us in and we called the police, and he did get caught not far down the road and was arrested. So it was a comical story with a good ending.
Golly, man.
Yeah, we're gonna need some of those videos because in that
truck
intro
parking
video,
wars. That's what we can call it. The truck parking wars.
7,000 volts y'all got.
People just blasting right through the gate, not even like trying to stop, and we're like, "What are you doing?" Like, "Oh, sorry, I was texting."
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, here's the bill. It's $3,000 to fix this. I gotta pay for that. You hit it. What do you think?
Or a guy followed another guy behind one of our yards, except you need a code to get out too. So he just decided to blast through the gate.
Yeah.
So,
There's been a lot of learning experience. You don't put a keypad at the exit because there's going to be a lot of times where people just want to roll into your yard and check it out. And
you want to
now
do
you go to the exit. Yeah. So.
Insane. So I guess in all this chaos, if you guys could change one thing about the truck parking industry, what would it be and why?
John, you can go first.
Like I'm assuming not from, you're not talking about the operational like lens of it, but I think I was telling you guys about this. It's like a lot of people saw a way to come in and monetize this, right? And they thought it would be easy, right? And it's very much so like running a trucking company when it comes to the operations piece. And I never lost sights, and I'm very happy that I kind of stuck to my underwriting and guns on some of these, the underwriting pieces of what goes into choosing a facility. And, we're learning there's a lot of people out there that, came in, thought this was easy, aren't providing a good service, and they're hurting people, whether they're not paying landlords or, not providing the service that they're promising the customer. Like, I'm learning fast as we grow, like, stick with good people that have good integrity, right? And build those relationships, and, guys like Anthony, who was on here, and value the partnership, right? Like, I would never want to hurt somebody like that. And, you know, I just hope that, you know, a lot of people see through the BS and that all gets weeded out. And, you know, the guys that have operate with true integrity, you know, remain, because a lot of our competitors we're super friendly with. When they were first starting, they would call me up. I'd give them advice. A lot of them didn't even know about when they're doing their site layout. I'm teaching them about blindside parking and all kinds of shit, right? Because competition's good for the industry, right? You need competition, right? It keeps you know, you push each other, and there's enough business to go around. It's just you got to be careful for, you know, some of the people that don't operate with the same type of integrity.
And I'll piggyback off that because John kind of hit it towards the end on that. Is you're starting to see a lot of rogue operators come into this space, and we're getting calls about them saying, "Hey, I had so and so on site. They had a 10% management fee. You guys have X. You know, I decided to go with them to give them a try." Well, do your research, okay? That's why we are very open about this stuff, because there are good operators out there, not just us. You know, Trucks is one of them. They're good. They're friendly with us. We love them. Outpost. There's aggregators out there too that do a great job in this space. But you're starting to, like everything else, you're starting to see people just enter this and think it was a group that I think was around for a couple months, came into our office. They were going to buy us. Go to a convention and take over the stage, throw big money at it. I want everybody's truck site in here. I'm renting, I'm leasing everything. Come see me. Now the guy has like 40 lawsuits against him because he screwed everybody over, because he thought it was as simple as, I just get the property, put a sign up, and it fills itself. Wrong. Back in the day, maybe. Today, there is so much competition in the market that you're seeing, and we've seen a lot of companies pop up within the last year that have already been pulled down. So be careful. Do your homework. If you get a bad deal, you know, there's good operators out there that you can lean on to save you.
If I could give back every site we're losing money on, I would. But I gave you my word. You're gonna get your rent, right? So
yep,
it is what it is. Part of doing business. Not everything's gonna be a winner.
And that's why we're very selective on what we take, because we don't want to burn bridges just to do a trial run. We throw data at it. We throw, you know, we do the research that's needed.
No more guessing.
No, there's too much to lose in guesses. And you burn bridges and you get a bad name out there like some of these other operators have gotten.
And the transparency with our clients too. It's like, I'm telling you, I don't want to have this conversation in a year where I'm telling you, hey, I'm losing money. I can't pay you. I can't afford to pay you. So let's cut through that bullshit. What are you trying to solve for? I'll tell you where we're exposed. If we can meet in the middle somewhere, great. If not, not every site's for, you know, going to work. So
yeah.
Damn Skippy. Said right, man. But, you know, nothing like and you know, don't like wasting money, man, even if it's not yours. I know some people don't care about wasting other folks' money, but you know, I don't like wasting my own money. I sure as hell ain't gonna try to waste someone else's with anything, you know. And especially, I mean, where you guys are in a different kind of situation, man. You know, you've got this relationship with others, and especially with people like Anthony, to where, you know, like, let's not waste the money on this, man. Hey, let's still solve the problem, right? You just maybe not solve the problem in your backyard. Maybe we solve the problem in another state, right? And you're still getting what you want, Mr. Person. I've got some money to put in this, you know what I mean? And the industry's still getting what it wants as well. So, you know, I think that's a good thing too, man. You know, is you guys have learned, John, like you've said several times in this show, man, you know, which I think is it's the evolution, right? The evolution of truck parking. It's the evolution of you as a business owner, right? You know, and an evolution to you guys is you know, can't think of the word now, but is strategic players in the industry. You know what I mean? You said you had people, you know, looking down and, you know, and talking this, and folks that came in and wanted to buy you out and do this, that, and the other and stuff, and try to take you over. And you know, you just stayed with it, man, and grew yourself, dude. So freaking applause to you, bro.
100%.
I don't care what Chris says about you behind your back, bro. You're all right.
I think he already knows.
He's like that he tells me, he's like, those are the stuff he tells me when he doesn't FaceTime me. You two, man. Oh my God. You two are, man, y'all are something else, bro. God, we've got to make sure that y'all better come to Matt's. I know John said he might be there too, but Chris, no damn excuses this time.
No, I'll be there this year for sure.
I believe Chris gave a blood oath on that, last year, if I'm not mistaken. So
you were going to go last year. No, what we had something going on crazy.
We had due diligence going on, and we needed all hands on deck.
Yeah.
I was our accountant, so
yeah.
We still had fun. We still had a hell of a time, man. Us and Neil, and it was a Dan, right?
Dan.
Yeah. Dan the man. Is he still with y'all?
Yeah.
That guy's
good.
He's a good guy. He's a background guy, but he's a hoot once you get him going, man.
I don't know about that, man. He was out there shaking hands and preaching it.
The babies.
It's part of the culture. I could proudly say we've never lost an employee since we've been open. Everyone that started with us is still here with us. So it's one of our goals is to keep building the culture and showing these guys the path forward to success.
And that was something that we had already ingrained in us, but I'll be honest, Laz really showed us that it could be done on a larger scale. Laz is who acquired 60% of the company, and they showed us that with 20,000 employees still matter. So that's one of the reasons why we partnered with them, because we had that same synergy of employee culture and what you give is what you get on both sides from the employees, and then from leadership too. It's a full circle. Everyone's got to buy in and put in.
Good integrity, good people. Take care of your people. The profits will take care of itself.
People over profits.
100%. We went there. Me and Chris showed up at their boardroom. We had presentation packets. The kid handing them out. They're like, "Oh, cool. Let's talk about you guys. What's up?"
Yeah, we were like, Jesus Christ. We were at the office till 9 o'clock doing this stuff.
It's like all this money we just wasted at Kinko's? Are you kidding me?
I had Neil making pitch packets and all kinds of booklets. We didn't even look at the first page.
Nope.
Dude, you probably left there. You guys went out and they were like, bloop, right in the tray.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's okay. Those are the type of
I was wearing this at the meeting in their boardroom.
That's good, man.
And they loved
it.
Is
those type of people you want to do business with, man. The folks that care, that do care about the people. Because I agree with you, man. It's all about the culture where you work. It's the thing I love most about my job. I know that's what Hunter loves most about his job, because I know his boss, and I would, like, if I wasn't working for my boss, I'd be working for his boss, because that guy's a freaking nut job, dude. He's just fun, man. But I get the same thing here, man. My boss cares about me and everyone that works here, and his whole thing is about not just growth as an employee of mine, but your personal growth. What do you need in your life for me to help make you better, which inevitably is going to make you do your job better, because you work for someone that cares about you and wants to put time and stuff into you, man. So
absolutely,
it does goes a long way. And I think even though
it's awesome,
our industry technically isn't like a service industry, like a trades industry, I guess you would say. Like, I think our industry is still real strong on that blue collar type camaraderie, man. You know what I mean? A lot more than people think. They look at logistics and I think they just think a bunch of suits and ties, and it's like, nah, man, dude, it's everybody. Like, it's everyone from the top and in between, and all walks of life, and everyone's got a story, and 99% of us never ended up here on purpose. So, like, we're all trauma bonding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We all deal with the same shit too.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, we're trauma bonded, bro. All of us, we're all just bonded over the bullshit.
And I've never worked more in ever actually in a corporate type set. I've always been an entrepreneur, trial by fire, and like in our last board meeting, like that's what I even told these guys. I was like, this, what I was looking forward to was learning from you guys, right? I'm not too proud to say this is the way we run our business, and I'm not open to any suggestions. And like, I needed that mentorship, right? Because it was like I had to fall down a million times in order to get here, because I had nobody to bounce ideas off of, or it was like, I hope this works, and don't make the same mistake twice, I guess. And these guys have been awesome mentors already to both of us, really. And the big thing that sticks out is like, listen, we're an integrity, people first company. The rest is secondary, right? If you surround yourself with good people, that's priority one, and we celebrate each other's victories and, you know, help people get to where they, you know, want to be in life.
Yep.
There you go, bro. Boom. Mic drop. All right, in the show. We're done. Whoop, deuces. No, you're supposed to save that for the end, man. Okay. All right. That was supposed to be like your.
I don't know. Every time you
acceptance.
guys tell me the podcast is an hour, I'm on here for 3.5 hours. So it's
Hey, you got.
Whose fault is that?
Yeah,
Whose fault is that?
yeah. Hey,
we're
we're
always open. Both ways.
I love it though. That's why I'm still here.
All right. Well, hey, we will wind it down, but we got some just final just I guess random questions, man. You know, some things that, you know, people out there maybe thinking about parking their assets there, or been holding off, or I don't know, maybe they're parked somewhere else that, you know, maybe they're a little loose on things and they don't run things properly and stuff. So just some off the wall things. All right. Talked about, you know, like some things that go on y'all sites, some craziness, but, you know, what are some like frowned upon things that y'all have with your sites, or that you think other sites should have policies against, you know, like oil changes, subletting spaces, hair salons, you know, that type of thing.
We should have had Anthony, so I'll start.
I was hoping he would still be with us, bro. I specifically added
You
that for him, man.
gotta get his boss Tom on here one time.
Oh shit! But yeah, you know, you listed them, Pedro. Oil changes, obviously not environmentally friendly. That creates big problems. Subletting space. Listen, if you have someone, that's for the actual customer. When you sublet space and you don't understand, you have no communication with the home office, right? So let's say you're the person that you sublet at least to is in somebody else's spot. Well, guess what happens when that customer calls me and says, "Hey, someone's parked in my spot." I'm sending out a yard-wide text and email that says, "Hey, here's a picture of a unit parked in spot 160 and it's unauthorized. You have 1 hour to move this, or it's getting towed." Well, guess what? That sub-leasee didn't get that message. So when he comes back to hit the yard to go to work the next day, and he didn't know where he was supposed to park, and he finds out his stuff's not there, we got a problem on our hands, because that's a $1,500 tow bill that he's now going to pay because he got kind of scammed in a way. So we want to protect anyone that's in our yard and make sure that it's done the right way. So we don't allow subleasing. We don't allow oil changes for EPA environmental reasons. And yeah, I mean, there's some. We've taken over some sites that had failed operators on site, and the stuff that we have seen as far as hair salons, lounges,
Basketball
courts, which is a real liability. I'm sure the insurance company would
fitness centers,
and gyms. Yeah, I mean, it goes above and beyond.
Lombard. I bet you that was Lombard.
It's been. Yeah.
But yeah, those are pretty much no-go policies for us. And that's for everybody's health and safety too. So it's not much. It's really not.
If I was a driver and I read your thing and I was like, no gym, no hair salon, what the hell are these people?
Back to what I was saying, most of our guys, this is just their yard. They're small trucking companies. Like the over the road guys, I get it. Like, they want to be able to shower and do all these different things. Like for me, I want these guys to park their asset. We'll secure it. I want you to go home. I don't want people living on site and, you know,
hanging out. That's not a good look. Again, we go back to the look and what does the community look at it as? You know, I got a bunch of people just standing around, hanging out at a truck yard, drinking beer. That's not what we're doing here. Park and go.
I feel that, man. I understand that. Like, you know, the over the road ones, I agree with you, John. I get it. Like, you know, they're paying for that spot. You know, they're going on thing. Like, if you park at a truck stop, normally you'd go in, you take a shower, you know, da-da-da. So, like,
right.
you totally understand that and get that, you know. And so, I mean, on that one, you know, because the freaking kick-ass video that Hunter made, that video was phenomenal, dude. I'm saying that thing was super good, bro. That was dope. especially that ending, man. That ending was like, all right. So on the video Hunter made, we saw some of your sites had some buildings and everything on it. You know what I mean? So like, what type of amenities do you guys offer? And are they at all of them? And if not, why? And what are we looking at, John? I guess this would be one for you. What are you looking at for the future with amenities, like company wide?
I mean, that's all future, right? So like, my thing is, we're not going to try to do everything ourselves through strategic partnerships. I think, we're going to start creating some value add amenities. But we got to find the right partners to do it that are going to perform it with the same integrity we perform with, right? I don't want to add a service and it's a failure and it reflects on us. When I first started this company, the full vision of it was not just truck parking, right? It was more so one-stop shop for a trucker. Call one number. We could kind of help you with anything you need, right? Because you know how regulated and how different. Just to renew a license plate, you got to hire a third party. It's like, it's just crazy. And I went through all that stuff, so I know it firsthand. And COVID was just booming at the time, and the truck parking went like this and everything else kind of got sidelined. But our future vision for the company is to we're talking about adding a partnership with insurance companies so these small trucking companies have an insurance provider that cares. You don't not know your broker, and they're not shopping the best policy and the best rates for you. So, partnerships like that, on-site repairs and maintenance, different fuel card perks and, fuel providers, whether you're fueling on site or, it's, a white label solution with a third party that, you get a certain discount, the same discount you would get if you had 100 trucks because you're in the Freight Ninja network, right? JB Hunt's going to get a better discount than ABC Trucking with 10 trucks, right? But hey, you park with Freight Ninja, you fall under that same umbrella, right? So, we're working on partnerships like that. Chris, what else am I missing? I know I got about a billion ideas, but, we got one.
I don't want to give away the secret sauce, all of it. We don't want to give all the secret sauce away.
You can show all your cards, man.
Nothing's a secret. You got to execute.
That's right.
So, I mean, to your point, that's the future vision of the company is however we could help. I mean, we've talked about equipment leasing, trailer share,
Washing.
Partnering with, truck wash companies to, wash fleets, trailer washouts. So, I've got a binder in here. I'm not going to show you the binder, but it's got all the ideas in it in the future.
I'm just thinking about John. Like John's like that old college football coach. He still has his playbook from when he was a high school coach. Yeah, that's there.
The water boy, the green book.
Mr. Coach Klein said I could.
Yes. Oh man, dude, that's
back to kind of John's point too, and closing that out is at the end of the day, and we always say this, don't overcomplicate it. These are like we said, blue collar to the blue collar. They want to park their unit. They want to make sure it's safe. They want to make sure it doesn't sink. They want to come back and go to work with no issues. That's what we're here to provide. We don't need to because when you overcomplicate things, the price goes up. Then it doesn't become a good value add for the driver. So just keep it simple and make sure you answer your phone. That's the biggest thing. And you try to provide a solution on every problem. Like, for example, the biggest thing, snow. Hey, this wasn't cleaned that well. Understand that. Heard. It was the first snowfall. It was the worst snowfall that Chicago has seen ever in history in November. All right? Let's take that into consideration. Give us some time. The first one is always the one where everyone trips over. We all been here. We all know that. So freaking out and building this hysteria story up of I'm going to leave you all that, like, it's not needed. So just keep it simple for the customers and answer your phones. That's all you got to do to make this a great experience for our customers.
You didn't even plow the streets.
Right. I mean, and they were like, "Why is my yard plowed? Our guys couldn't travel. There's 10 inches of snow on the roads." I mean, it's like, holy shit.
If you guys got any good ideas of things that pop up you think that, would be worth looking into, always
Sure.
open to-
I don't
But
know,
we
man.
also want to continue to support guys like you and your guys' mission as well.
And we
Well, we
appreciate the
appreciate it,
platform too.
Supporting something like this, and we're 100% committed, and we appreciate everything you guys do as well.
And also wanted to bring up, kind of in closing as well, just so you guys are aware, and we'll give you more information on this, but we're getting linked up with the St. Christopher.
I already know about it.
Drug
You're
relief
behind, bro.
fund?
I already know about this. I'm
All right.
Neil. Yeah, I already know about
Get
this.
breaking news then.
No,
But that's another thing we want to start getting involved in. This Saturday, we're helping out the farm down the street. We got about 15 employees donating their time, whether it's helping people onto the wagon, tendering fires, doing s'mores for the kids. That's a Christmas event that's going on. And then another thing is we're going to give back to our community, our customers, and start making sure that we give back in form of the St. Christopher Truck Fund and all that good stuff to help support our community that's supported us for so many years and is going to continue to support us. So that's big news for you guys. I know you guys will pump that as well because that's near and dear to your heart. So just want to kind of announce that too.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. Neil reached out to me about that a few weeks ago, and we hooked him up with Diane, and yeah, dude, she's fantastic. Their whole organization is fantastic. I mean, they just did their Giving Tuesday, so we did some promotion for them. I think we gave them $50. So yeah, man, dude, I love that. I love that you guys are supporting them, man. They're good folks over there, dude. And I love that you guys just giving back. Giving back to us too is really what you're doing. And Hunter and I, we know 1,000% that we appreciate you guys. John, you had talked about a lot through this show about your employees and obviously how close you and Chris are as friends, and Neil, and the relationships and stuff that you're about, and just about like improving this industry and bringing people together. And I think that's why we all jive so good together, because that's what Hunter and I developed the lounge for, dude. Is building relationships, bringing the industry
100%.
together, connecting people and stuff, man. And I think that's probably our biggest success, is all the connections that we made. We know so many people that are doing business together, now just because they were a guest on the show and someone watched it, or they were on a Freestyle Friday together and met someone that does something, all of our sponsors, we know people that do business with them and stuff. And so, I don't know, it's important for us, man. And it allows us to go further our message and do things and grow our audience, you know what I mean? And, so yeah, and I don't know, I'm looking forward.
I'm happy we got Anthony on too. Awesome guy, and just kind of goes to show these are the kind of people we want to do business with, right? I mean, actually, one of the founders at Laz, and this will stick with me forever. After we met them, that boardroom meeting we were just talking about, I literally had to fly home that same day because my son was going to be born any minute, and we had to get in and out. And I was telling them that, and they knew it. And a week later, my son was born, and 2 days later, I get a package at my front door. It was like a custom blanket with my son's name on it, and I'm like looking at the name. I'm like, who sent this? Like, I don't even know who this person is. And it was one of the founders of Laz Parking that remembered that and sent it to me. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, you can't fake that, right? It's, and to your point with the relationships and stuff, it's like, that's something that I'll never forget. And shortly after that, Anthony's son was born, his son Sonny, and I did the exact same thing. I went online, I got like a custom baby book made with his son's name in it and everything, sent it to his house. And I mean, you should have seen his reaction when he received that from me. It was, and you build relationships like that and they'll last forever. They turn into friendships, and that's the best way to do business, honestly.
Man, couldn't have said it better than myself. Man.
Yep.
Sticking to the basics, man.
That's it.
Yeah.
Doing
Keep
the
it
good
easy.
thing.
Yep.
Well, I think that I don't know what else more you can say after really after this. I mean, dude, I don't know. I think we have like touched on everything and more and
Yeah.
more. I guess the real only question is like, do you guys feel that you have got the message across that you want and made the points that you need to make?
100%. I mean, here's the message is do good business with people you trust and you know that are going to service your needs, right? This isn't a super complicated industry. It's just about waking up every day and doing it and providing the service for your customer and producing for your client. That's it.
And like, the common message and theme here is, and it's sad, but if you can see it, you can excel. Is just care this much, because this will go a long way in today's world, because there's a lot of people that just wake up, I got to go to work, I'm going to hit the keyboard. Good. There's no value in that. Care about what you do, give a little bit of effort. It's going to go a long way, and it will come back tenfold too. So that's all.
Spot on, my man. Spot on. All right. Well, with that, we'll final stuff here. Chris, since John for the first time in all the time I've ever talked to this guy, you ain't been able to get him to shut up for the past 30 minutes.
I didn't read any of the notes, pre-notes either, so I hope it didn't show up.
It's good because it is every time John's on, dude. Even in a meeting, he just sits there and he's like, all right, yeah. He's just the one quiet, man. Just the one in the background. Like, I like it. John only speaks when he feels he needs to interject. But Chris, we'll go with you, man. Besides what you just said, any exiting comments, questions, concerns, updates? You want to give your personal self some plugs? Drop some for Freight Ninja, where everyone can find you or them. They want to do some business to get you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all those that tuned in. Hopefully we can make this a quarterly thing like we talked about. Hopefully there's value here. So any feedback, ideas, like we said, pitch them. We enjoy this stuff, man. We love this. We have a deep passion for this, and that's why we love talking about it. And again, steering people in the right direction. There's plenty of opportunity out there for everybody. Just do it the right way. I hate for the good groups to get black eyes, because there's bad groups out there overshadowing the good that's being done. It makes it harder for us to operate the right way. So I appreciate all of our partners that have gotten us this far. Partners on both the real estate side, and then customers on the customer side, which are also partners of ours too, because we're all in the same business, doing the same thing, creating great opportunities for each other, and hoping that everyone succeeds. So that's all I have. And I appreciate you guys too for allowing us this opportunity, because we couldn't have made this happen today without this platform. Without the marketing team here, your marketing. Like, I really think that there was a lot of value in this, because people do have a lot of questions about this, and they may be afraid to ask or don't know the questions to ask. So that's why I thought that this would be valuable for those, because we're seeing this grow and we're getting those calls of, hey, what can I do? Can you help me? I think that's what kind of sparked this idea to say, hey, there's a lot of life here and a lot of unknowns still. What can we do to give back to help those people out and make sure that we're helping them in the decisions that they're making, whether it's operating their site by themselves or leaning towards an operator like us and a handful of professionals out there that do this. Just do your homework, shop around, and ask the right questions. Know the questions that you need to ask, because, like I said, the one thing I want to protect people from is rogue operators. That's only going to set them back and could hurt them long term too, depending on what they're investing, what kind of capital they're laying out there. So just be careful with that. This is a very blue collar industry, and it does get tricky. And it's the opposite. The best part about this is two worlds colliding. You have the real estate market and the truck drivers and the transportation market kind of coming together. So that's been fun to watch and see, because it is two completely different worlds. And it's been exciting. So I'll close with that.
I thought you had to be a twisted kind of person to be a freight broker, much less a freaking whatever that kind of broker is, real estate agents, and truck drivers, yikes.
When we were like first meet with like Anthony's group, they're like talking about like cap rates and all these like. I'm like, I'm writing shit down. I'm like, I got to look all this up. I'm just gonna pretend like I know what everyone's talking about right now.
I can tell you,
We're playing connector between the white collar and blue collar industries. So there's definitely a need there.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have one without the other.
Yeah.
John, what about you?
Told me I talked too much. I think I covered it all.
Oh shit! Now he's in his feelings.
All right. So
We appreciate you guys. However we can continue to support the mission and keep educating people, whether it be truck parking or trucking in general, whatever it is, we're happy to help.
Dating advice too. We give great dating advice.
Chris is actually now an athletic trainer too. Now he wants to better people.
wedding, dude, athletic marriage counselor. Right there, Chris. There's your niche, bro. There's your niche. You know what I'm saying? Hey, the couple that sweats together stays together. You know what I mean?
Give me a call, baby.
Hey, Chris,
you guys here in the home office here when we got to fly out to Chicago.
All right.
I was telling Chris about that. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, we were just talking about that last night, Hunter and I, like literally just talking about that shit last night, man. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, man.
We'll do a live show from here.
Yeah,
dude, 100%. So, all right, hey, before we get to Mr. Hound and I's final comments, I will do Chris's job for him. I gave him the opportunity. He failed. So I will take over now. Thank you, everybody, for watching this special episode of the Logistics Lounge, brought to you by the lovely team over at Freight Ninja. If you're looking for yourself to park your truck, 1 truck, 2 truck, 3 truck, red truck, blue truck, 50 truck, 50 trailers, whatever it is, I'm telling you, John and his team over there at Freight Ninja, they can help y'all out. You can go to freightninja.com, scope them out. They got all their properties on there, some pictures and everything. And once you do that, man, these are definitely the people I want to do business with. You can hit them up at 844-303-1505. And just make sure that you use code Lounge Ninja so you can get yourself some special rates when you do your booking with them there. Mr. Hound, what you got, man?
Nothing but good. This was a show a long time in the making. Chris, kudos to you for getting this together. Like, it's something important
this
to talk
was all
about.
you, Chris. 100%.
Straight up. And we got John on the show for 2 hours and 15 minutes talking. I mean, hat backwards, ready to get down to business, baby. Come on.
Anxiety.
But hey, no, absolutely. Hey, fellas, like, to speak for Pedro and I can't appreciate y'all enough. Like, just the same as y'all gave us a platform, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for y'all. And it's y'all are our longest lasting partners. I don't even want to call y'all sponsors, man. It's like you got these relationships and now we're turning to friends. Like this is something that we stand behind.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I think episode 2 would be pretty sick in Chicago, do like a little documentary type deal, man. Get some good footage, maybe shoot some hoops out in the lot, and we'll do a what not to do in the parking lot. Maybe I'll let Pedro cut my hair.
Oh my God, that'd be so funny.
We'll cut that out. Yeah, we'll have to use some fake hair.
Dude, that
We'll
would be
get you the
hilarious.
footage and put together a blooper video too.
Yes,
Yeah,
dude.
that'd be great.
Honestly, I wish that we would have known about that a long time ago, because our buddies at Spillboy, old Carlos Mencia, he does a spill of the day. So we could probably do a little cross collaboration with that. But people want, dude, that's the thing, man. It's like a car accident. Nobody wants to see the traffic. They want to see the banged up cars, So it's behind the scenes, like what y'all are really dealing with.
Cool movies.
Yeah, next time you get a 3 a.m. call with some dude with a crowbar that's, looking like the Santa Claus from Christmas Vacation, we need that.
100%.
But yeah, hey,
great.
This is awesome though. Like, you guys are on a warpath. I mean, it's crazy, Chris. You've been there 3 years, and when you got brought over, you had 15 spots, some odd, and now you've quadrupled that. That's a statement right there, and you're doing it the right way. Turning down projects, you're not doing it for the cash grab. You're doing it for the right reason. So glad to be in y'all's corner.
Appreciate you guys.
And you need a Dolphins jersey behind you, John. That Patriots, that's garbage, dude. I can't have that.
Next
You
time
need a Larry
I'll-
Zonka or something.
next show, I'll change it out.
Do that. Edelman's the man.
Yeah.
Oh, Hunter, man. Oh boy, get Hunter
And
going.
y'all are
man.
lounge lizards. John, this might be, is this your first time on the show?
Nope.
No,
No?
John's been on-
Okay.
John's been on
the
a couple
can't
last
times.
remember.
4-hour show I was on that one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see how it's easy to lose time. You're talking
Yeah.
4 hours, 2 hours, not.
I can talk about this shit all day. You just gotta shut me up.
Right.
Well, everyone,
Not
that
a few words, but when I'm passionate about it, I'll get after it.
it's good though, bro. Like you got that ground pounder experience though, man. You know, the person boots on the ground, dude. You know what I mean? It's one thing to be making the calls from up in the suite or in the fancy building with all the windows. You know what I mean? It's totally different to be the person out there, experience it, going through it, learning, evolving, and helping solve problems and trying to pass that on to others and stuff.
It's
Man,
the only way to learn. Honestly.
and yourself learning, man. Like you said, man, dude. Even from Anthony, you're not, even though Chris is a real estate guy, that's a completely different thing for you guys. So, for even partnering with him and say, man, like this is something I can learn because it's going to make me better at how I do business and how I approach things and stuff, man. So, and Anthony's obviously, learning a lot from you guys too. So, it's just good, man. I'd like, again, I think that's our biggest draw, man. We're all just kind of down to earth, man. Blue collar, middle class people, man. You know what I'm saying? We're the folks that a handshake still means something. You know what I'm saying? Like handshake is still hey, that's a done deal, buddy. You know what I mean? That is
It better be a good one too.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need no fish hands over here.
A lot of our partners are the same way, and that's why we get along.
Yeah.
I literally had a guy. He goes, "I want to do a deal with you in Ontario, California, but I need you to come here. I need to shake your hand." And I go, "Chris, I got to get on a flight." I flew to Ontario, California, shook this guy's hand, met for 20 minutes, got back on a plane, and flew back to Chicago. He's like, "You're nuts." I'm like, that's the type of people I want to do business with, so I'm going to do it.
We got to do it right.
That's a trip that lasts a lifetime right there.
You know?
Yep.
The real shit.
All right. Well, I guess, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. We appreciate everyone watching. We had some good viewership through this. And we hope y'all all learned something from this, actually getting to listen to some people that are in the business, talk to them in a different perspective, hear from them in a different perspective, not just as a customer, not just someone that's heard negativity online about what truck parking and outdoor storage is about, but seeing the faces behind it, some folks that really care, and especially a company that, we've said many times is doing things differently. You know what I mean? They're not out there poaching stuff, just trying to put $1 in their pocket. John and Chris and their team, they're truly trying to solve a problem. Like they see the problem there and they're doing what they can to solve it and be in control of it. So it's done the right way. And like Chris touched on, people aren't taken advantage of, you know what I mean? Tons of scam goes on in our industry, and these guys are trying to make sure that doesn't happen under their watch when you're doing business with them for something that is definitely a needed service in this industry. That said, we already told you where you can go find them. We will not have a show tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Hunter and I both are 3 shows deep this week. So there's been a total of 6 shows on this network this week. And if that is not enough of our ugly mugs for y'all, go back and watch some stuff on YouTube. That's all I can tell you. But,
Yeah, if y'all are in need, I'll go live at 12 o'clock tomorrow. You can watch me eat lunch.
that would be good. We will be back next week. Of course, have an amazing week. Tuesday, you got to catch a Dreyage Junk. Are y'all doing a Dreyage Junkies next week?
We are.
Okay,
We're
cool.
doing oversized and out of gauge talk. So all the crazy shit that's not stuffed into a 40-foot container. So it's going to be a good one.
Nice. Fucking A.
12 o'clock Central Time on the Lounge Network.
There you go. And then next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about networking, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't talked, actually had someone on here talking about networking. We talk about it a lot, but we're going to have someone come on and talk about the power of networking, someone who's trying to help folks build better networks within our industry and amongst several others. Oh wait, actually, I'm an idiot. I lie. Boom, looking at the completely wrong week. Woo wee, man. I'm trying to get this year over with. Is what it is. Next week, we have Truck Builders Trucking Awesome in the lounge. Hunter and I met these folks at Star Stripes and White Lines. They're local here to Texas. They build some amazing freaking rigs. So we are going to have them on. We're just going to talk about truck building, ladies and gentlemen. And then next Friday, we've got the one, the only Gord McGill back in the lounge. He has officially finished his book. We're going to talk about that. And God knows what else, because y'all know Gord, who knows what else.
Tune in. It might be our last show.
Might be. So make sure y'all tune in for that. Everyone always loves watching Gord. Super smart guy. Always put some great stuff out. Might try to get some of the selective homies on and chill with us too. So we'll see how that goes. But everyone have yourself a fantastic rest of your week. Thanks for spending some time with us this week, and just enjoy your weekend with your families. And if it's cold wherever you are, stay warm. And if it's warm wherever you are, I know you're praying for the cold. And with that, chunk them deuces. Mr. Hound, roll that beautiful bean footage.
The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.